How's it going, my dudes? Welcome back to another Kingdom of Heroes video. Today we are going to take a look at the best free-to-play hero that you can have right from the start, because you get a net 5 selector from the beginning. You can definitely choose which net 5 you want, and without further ado, we are taking a look at Ingwe. Okay, so let's take a look at his runes real quick. This is the runes that I'm equipping him with. He's currently equipped with Vampire and Life runes. So the idea is to maximize his HP in a sense, okay, to give him as much HP as possible and to let him have a little bit of lifesteal effect. Okay? This is not the cookie cutter build because there are people who run him with Swift and Life or Swift and something. I've seen very speedy Ingwe and he works as well. So we're going to take a look at his runes real quick before we go into the content. So over here, slot number 6, it's a HP percentage. Slot number 2, it's a HP percentage, and slot number 4, while I could potentially give him even more HP over here, I decided to go with defense percent because that just gives him a more holistic tankiness. Okay, so it's not just straight up HP, but at least there's some kind of defense in the mix. And take note that flat stats are not necessarily bad. However, for Ingwe, I think flat stats are gonna be not that useful. Okay, so sometimes there will be flat stats on your slots 2, 4, and 6. It actually benefits some heroes a lot, but not for Ingwe's case. Okay, so like I said, not for Ingwe's case, the flat HP is not going to be very significant as compared to his base HP stat. Okay, so the reason why you want to have Vampire on him is because obviously you want to have a little bit of self-sustain. He does have his own self-sustain. Okay, I've covered him a little bit before, but we shall just take a look at his skills nonetheless so that we can understand a little bit more on his kit. Oncoming Chaos attacks enemies within the target area just around you. Successful hits transfer 1 debuff from yourself to enemies hit. Okay, honestly, it's not just 1 debuff. Okay, successful hit transfers all of your debuffs to the enemy's hit. Okay, if there are like multiple enemies around, you would actually trigger this multiple times. So if you had 5 debuffs on you and there were 5 enemies around you, when you do a normal attack, be it counter attack or just you attacking yourself, you would transfer all 5 debuffs to the enemies. And the thing is, it transfers randomly, so you're not gonna have like 5 debuffs on each enemy. You're gonna have like, on average, 1 on each enemy. Additionally, you have a 40% chance to provoke enemies for 1 turn. That's just like the cherry on top. This skill's damage increases when you have greater max HP. So you might want to actually go with 3 sets of HP if you will. But for me, like I said, I just want a holistic tankiness. Nature's Paradox attacks enemies within a target area. Successful hits block HP recovery of enemies hit for 2 turns. Additionally, every successful hit has a 30% chance to apply continuous recovery on yourself for 2 turns. Nature's Paradox cooldown is reduced by 1 turn for each successful hit. So if you're going to hit like 5 people around you, the skill is going to be usable on the next turn. Ingwe obviously excels in hitting multiple targets, okay, because on his first skill, he gets to transfer a lot of debuffs outwards, okay, so he's constantly being depleted of debuffs, he's constantly having just buffs on himself. And then this skill actually gives him a little bit of continuous recovery. Then you move on to the first of his 2 passives, King's Wrath. Ingwe's base accuracy increases by 15%. Okay, I'm not particularly sure whether the transfer can be resisted, but if he could, that would be more reason for him to have accuracy. But regardless, he does have heal block on his second skill, which would require more accuracy anyway. Okay, so additionally, Ingwe has a 35% chance to counter attack when receiving an enemy's melee attack. So this is super cool. This is the creme de la creme, okay? So whenever he counter attacks, he will trigger his first skill, and when he triggers his first skill, he will have a chance to provoke, and at the same time, he will have a chance to transfer all the debuffs away. So that's going to be very key. When he gets hit, he has a chance to remove all the debuffs that's on him. So that's very important because we move on to this 4th passive over here. The second passive, I mean, if Ingwe doesn't have any active debuffs, at the end of turn, he recovers 12% of HP loss. So 2 things, you can remove your debuffs on you when you counter attack, and the other being, if you take your turn and use Oncoming Chaos, you actually cleanse yourself, then you end the turn healing yourself. So generally speaking, using his first skill is very recommended in a lot of the content. Okay, if Ingwe is below 30% HP, he gains increased defense for 1 turn. So that's just extra bonus over there. So without further ado, let's take a look at how he fares in Fafnir 11. Generally speaking, you don't need anyone else, you just need him. However, you can use this avenue as a form of EXP grind while you're farming for runes, okay? But however, do take note that this takes a super long time to clear, okay? But the thing is, not a lot of players can clear Fafnir 11 without using Ingwe, okay? So if they don't have Ingwe, there is a high probability that they cannot even do the 10th floor, okay? So let's not talk about the 11th floor, but yeah, so here we are, 6 start, level 70 Ingwe with pretty okay stats, okay? It's not crazy. Let's go. Let's take a look at how this works, okay? So the reason why Ingwe is so OP is that there are many reasons, okay? But let's work down the list, okay? The first reason being there is a 60 turn timer on the top left of the screen. Okay, so whenever your hero takes a turn, that timer ticks down by 1. And if you have a whole bunch of heroes, each hero has technically less opportunities to hit because of the timer, okay? So if let's say you have 5 heroes, each hero only have like 12 times on average to hit before you run out of time, right? But if you have Ingwe on his own, you would then have 60 entire hits to yourself. You can attack 60 times. So you understand what I'm trying to get at. It's just very efficient in running a single hero as opposed to running a whole team of heroes. So that's one strategy that exists in this game that doesn't exist in other games, okay? Secondly, with him being the primary target, so let's say you're bringing like fodder units along with this fight, right? They're gonna die off really fast because of the spider enemy over here. He's gonna do a bit of AoE. He's gonna take out your fodder units, and then all the enemies would just pile onto Ingwe, okay? So like you can see over here, everyone's just piling onto him. And as you can see, I'm losing a little bit of HP, but that's not really a problem because when I use my skills, I actually recover a bit of it. And then when I counter attack, I heal myself further, so on and so forth. We're gonna move into the boss stage really soon, and you get to see why he's so important, okay? One thing to note at the boss stage is that everything there does melee damage, okay? The zombies that spawn, they do melee damage. The boss himself does melee damage. So everyone will crowd around you and everyone will start punching you. But that's where Ingwe shines because he don't care, okay? As long as you hit him, he's happy. He's gonna counter attack, he's gonna transfer away all the debuffs on himself. So the boss starts off with continuous damage on me, right? A debuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead, use my first skill, transfer the debuff away. So as you can see, it transferred to one single unit. The duration of the debuff stayed the same, 2 turns. So yeah, we are hoping to get a whole ton of debuffs on ourselves so that we can just spread it away. But the problem here is that if there are too many enemies around you, the probability of you passing that debuff onto the boss is quite slim. The chance is going to be very slim. If there's 5 enemies around you, the chance of the boss getting the debuff is going to be 20%, right? Okay, so now I have 2 debuffs on me. Let's see whether are we even going to get any. Okay, we managed to get 1 on the boss. That's super lucky already because of the number of spawns around us. However, Ingwe has a lot of AoE, so he has a good opportunity to take them out as soon as he can, which is also partly why the speedy build, right, the swift build might make sense, because you want to take a lot of turns to attack more often so that you can clear the ads a lot more frequently, so that you don't get swarmed too much. Okay? Getting swarmed increases your chance of counter-attacking, but it takes away from the probability of you actually spreading the debuff to the boss, and that's how you actually run this fast, by spreading the debuff to the boss himself. So sometimes the runs can go from 4 minutes to 11 minutes, depending on how lucky you are, for several reasons, okay? Because number 1, how often do you pass the debuff to the boss? And number 2, how frequently are you able to land a heal block? Because the boss actually heals himself on like one of his skills. Not sure which one is it. Is it this? No. And recovers HP, the target's inflicted continuous damage. Yeah. So Sharp Claws, very rarely you would be able, he would be able to heal himself. Okay, there you go. See, he just healed himself 1000 HP just like that. So there is a little bit of RNG involved here. So I think it might be a good idea to drop a lot of damage potential on your Ingwe. Okay, like for example, give him a ton of crit rate from substats, so that when he does his damage, his normal attack, he actually does a little bit more damage, right? So that you clear the mobs much faster, and then you can proceed to focus on the boss a lot sooner. So yeah, there are a few strategies to this, but I'm not taking any damage at all, okay? Barely taking any damage. And that's because Ingwe is the perfect hero for this fight. He is tree type, okay, or green. Okay, I'm just gonna call him, he's green. and the enemies are blue. So rock, paper, scissors, he's winning. There is another hero that is a perfect pick. Okay, so for example, you do not have Ingwei, right? There is a hero called Thea, Theia. Okay, so her kit is all about poisoning herself on her normal attack. Yes, poisoning herself, and her second skill actually disperses the poison to all the enemies in an AoE attack. So if she gets poisoned by the boss, right? The boss has this 4th skill over here, Venomous Curse. So if Thea gets poisoned, she would then be able to spread it back to the boss, which is probably gonna be one of the fastest way to run this in terms of free-to-play methods. Okay, so Thea is like a 4-star, she's a net 4. Chances are you might have her. If not, you can actually just select her from the selector itself. So perhaps some extra strategy is to maybe give Ingwei 0 resistance. If he has 0 resistance, he would then most likely get the debuff all the time, right? And if he gets debuffed, he would then be able to spread the continuous damage a lot more effectively in a sense, but it actually sets him back in PvP, because in PvP, you kind of want him to have like a lot of resistance. But there you go, that's 15,000 EXP without any EXP boost. So if you get like an extra 100% EXP, there'll be 30,000 divided by 4 if you're going to bring fodder units. So that's going to be a great place to farm. And you also get like super cool runes like this. Okay, this rune looks kind of bad, but the thing is, in this game, flat stats could be quite useful. So I'm just going to keep it, and I'm just going to raise it and see how it goes from there. I got all 3 flats. So there you go. The runtime was 7 minutes, but completely free to play. I've not spent a single cent on the game thus far. I'm not sure whether I'll actually need to spend, because I have like a ton of summons, which you should look forward to in the next video. I'm going to do a whole bunch of summons. It's not just 20 pools, okay? I have a lot of saved up stuff in the summon portal. No spoilers for you. So with that said, that's the end of this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this content. That's Ingwei, the best free-to-play hero, hands down. So I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, leave a comment down below to let me know. Like and subscribe if you've not already done so. And as always, I will see you in the next video.